So everyone in attendance, this is Kurt Yulie-Kinsey. I'm your president this year. And we're fortunate enough to have Principal Luna here to answer questions about our new virtual learning and how this is going to work this year. So in order for us to do this efficiently, what we'd like you to do is raise your hand. And there's a button, you hit participants. I think you guys can raise your hand. You can see where you can raise your hand and lower it there once you've done that. So Angie's going to keep you on mute until we call you. And then we'll unmute you. And second thing I'd like to ask of you is that ask one question, please, and wait your turn so that other people have a chance to answer it as ask their next question as well. And I might be a little bit rude. I'm not trying to be, but I might cut you off just because I want to make sure that everybody has a chance to do that. Also, very, very important, we are recording this today. So if you do not want your information public, this is going to be shared with our district, our Muirlands Middle School Foundation page, the Muirlands website, and Facebook page. So really important that you understand that by participating on here, you're submitting to being recorded, okay? Again, this is information for the entire community, but we wanted to keep it to the foundation so that we could keep some semblance of order. That make sense? Okay, so I'm going to get started, Jeff, with one quick question that came in from somebody who's not being able to participate here today. This is from Goalie Learner. And again, when you have your question, oh, actually, Jeff, before we start, why don't you give us the presentation? Just take about 10, 15 minutes and explain what we're doing and how this is going to work this year.
Okay, well, first off, I wanted to thank you all for being here, and as well today I have one of our counselors, I believe, Nicole's here, and I believe Jennifer Nash is here as well. So if there are some questions surrounding the social emotional learning, the counseling piece, Nicole's one of our experts as far as that goes, and then as well as Jenny Nash is part of our wonderful master schedule team. And then Kurt, I also wanted to give you the green light to cut me off if I get too verbose, because I can't do that at times. So you just, how are things going? Just kind of an update. Is that what you're asking for, or before we get started? Yeah, I think things are moving.
Let's talk about how this is going to work.
The new school year, the schedule, is that what you're referring to in specific? So, hopefully everybody received the email that was distributed yesterday. If not, I have requested, and I do have updated distribution lists. So I'll be putting those in place based on our enrollment that we have in our computer as of last night. So I received those. Requested those from Sandy last night, and those will be updated. So hopefully that issue has been resolved. But in that email, I shared with you what our schedule will look like, and basically what we're going to work with in the efforts of having a smooth transition back to campus once we're able to do that, and in the efforts of minimizing or taking into account the coursework that our kids are going to have to do in the online portion is that we have basically what it is a quarter system. So our students will be taking every 9 weeks, they'll be taking 3 courses, and they'll take those courses every day for the 9 weeks. The following 9 weeks, they'll take the additional 3 courses that would have typically been on their 6th scheduled day. They'll take those the second 9 weeks, and that would bring us to the semester of our typical school year. But in reality, they're getting a semester of credit for each of those quarters. Second semester of our traditional year, they would then repeat and go back to the course that they had, those first 3 courses 1, 2, and 3, for 9 weeks, and then switch over to courses 4, 5, and 6 for the final 9 weeks of our school year. We built into our schedule 9-minute passing periods, and that's to give people at home And once we get it back onto campus, more time to get from one class to the other. So the thought process on that was that, we do want to allow so that the kids aren't rushing, and we do want to enable them to use good, the hygiene and washing their hands, and just kind of give them a little bit more time so that maybe the hallways aren't so crowded, and our staff as well. So there is a 9-minute passing period. The other thing I want you to know, and a lot of this information went out in the letter, is that we worked with the high school as well to try to mirror our schedules. And that's because, for one, obviously we have students that we send to the high school, and we do share staff with the high school. We have their staff that comes over here and teaches our band kids, and then we also send our math and our some of our language kids, our Latin program, over to the high school. So once we do come back to onto campus, we'll be able to continue that partnership. The second thing is that we wanted to make sure that it was, if you do have children at both the middle school and the high school level, that you're kind of on the same schedule. So that was the other thought process of that. Let's see. The only difference is that the La Jolla High School went to a earlier start, a mandated earlier start, so they got away from our common 8:35 start that we had last year, and had to go to an 8:30 start. I think we're kind of, until I hear differently, I think that's where it's going to land. But I think with that 9-minute buffer, it's going to be fine. We have that 9-minute passing period, so that kind of is a nice little buffer in between where we'll be able to, we're going to be able to work everything out regardless. But that's something that's not an insurmountable issue for us. So one of the things that was asked, and it was about minutes, and one of the things that I have heard is that people have had concerns about the amount of minutes and rushing through courses. In reality, the kids are going to meet for 18 weeks for each of our year-long courses, as opposed to 36 weeks as we've done in the past. Our courses in the past were approximately 50 minutes a day. The way the schedule is set up now with the quarter system is although the kids aren't meeting as many days during over the course of our academic year, they will be meeting for a comparable amount of minutes. So typically we'd meet for 50 minutes a day, but in the format that we have now, it's going to be a 74-minute class period with an additional, at the end of the day after lunch, an asynchronous time where the kids will be working independently. And for another approximately 40 minutes per class. So if you kind of do the math, and I know it's not the same as being in a class for 100 minutes each day. Structured unpurposeful time. We want it to be time where they're actually working on the curriculum and the lessons that were gone over during the day, and just kind of expanding on you kind of extend IP meetings, attend staff meetings, work with their colleagues to work on curriculum, meet with children, meet with parents. So that's more of a time at the end of the day where they can do some of those other school associated duties. I think our minutes changed this year from to 3:14 dismissal as opposed to a 3:15. So that's kind of the only other significant change I can think of.
Okay.
So that's kind of it in a nutshell as far as the minutes go, but I'm sure there's some more like instructional questions that are out there. So go ahead, Kurt. Go ahead.
Raising your hands. I have one question that came through chat, but raise your hands. I'll call on you and you can ask the question directly. But Rena had asked, when will the students get their new schedule?
So we're working on master schedule right now. And so one of the things that we're going to I turn up your volume a little bit here. One of the things that we're going to need to do is have a textbook and computer and just kind of a pickup day that we're organizing here on the campus where the kids would come with their parents, and we'll schedule it. We'll spread it out enough where the, thinking about social distancing, and they will come in and check out their textbooks and a computer if they choose to use one. Check one out from the school, and other materials that we'll have available for them here at the school. At that time, as well as our thought process now is that we'll hand out schedules at that time because the kids will need to know their schedules at that time. We would typically do that during the first day of school is when we'd hand out schedules, but we're looking at Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of next week as those days that we will schedule the distribution. So depending on grade level and where you're, where you fit as far as the alphabet, the first letter of the alphabet of your last name, we'll be putting out a schedule to inform you time certain when you should come by the school to pick those items up with your child.
Very good. Angie, I see that Dale had his hand up. Did you unmute him for me?
This is Dale. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Hi, Dale.
sorry. Hi, thanks for this call. I saw that the distribution of books and Chromebooks, et cetera, will be coming up. Are the Chromebooks being distributed to every single student or just the ones that have requested like they did in the spring?
We're not at this point. Actually, tomorrow's our big planning day for this whole distribution process. So we're getting together tomorrow to plan all that. But it's not a situation where you need to pick up a Chromebook. And I'm going to send out a letter once we have this schedule down and the map and everything. But kind of the benefit of having a school computer is, one, it's not putting wear and tear on your computer. But secondly, it'll be preloaded with all the school filters that we would typically have in our classroom and apps and other things that will support the learning that's going to take place during the school year. And that's not to say that you can't put those type of things on your own computer at home. I believe for the most part, but that's just kind of one of the benefits that they will come preloaded with, with district software and apps, and it could be a smoother stream for your child. So there's not a sign-up process, but rather when you show up with your parent, you'll have one checked out to you if you would like one.
So every single student will be picking one of those up?
If they choose to do so. We have enough available on site right now that have gone through the sanitation process. Those were delivered over the summer for our students. And a matter of fact, our 6th grade students are on a refresh year, so they will be getting a brand new, I think that's the plan right now, they'll be getting a brand new computer checked out to them this year as they return their old ones if they do have any old ones. Okay,
well, thanks for clarifying that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just real quick, it looks like it's easier for you to submit the questions via chat, and that's fine. So I'll read them via chat if that's the way we want to go. So next question was, Jeff, will the students be expected to do homework over and above the 2-hour asynchronous synchronous period?
So homework assigning is going to be up to the teacher. And I can tell you the information that I sent out to the teachers was, I think the words I used was my biggest concern right now was the social emotional well-being of our students as we come back onto campus. And they've been away for a long time, and many of them haven't seen their classmates for a long time. So one of our goals as we open back up is that our teachers spend a considerable amount of time and effort and make a conscious effort to the whole child and look at the well-being of them socially. So I think the words I shared was a gradual, a kind of a gradual slide into the academics. I know everybody outside of probably the kids, but the parents and the teachers are very anxious to get back to the academics because they've been away from the academics, and our kids have been away from the academics, the rigor for quite a while. But we do need to, I think we do need to be conscious of going into this with their emotional emotional part in mind as well. So to answer your question, the homework is always going to be left up to the teachers, and I would imagine any work that has been assigned to do outside of their live instruction that is not completed during the asynchronous time would be extended to time that they can complete later. The other thing about the asynchronous time too is that's kind of an independent time for the kids to work. So it kind of leads as far as parents, a little bit of flexibility as well with that.
Thank you, Jeff. Next question. The schedule shows that a class taken in Q1 continues in Q3. Will the kids be able to pick up what they learned in the first quarter after 10 weeks off? Good question.
Yeah, so that was one of the things. So I think the question is around the break that's in between the two quarters. So that's one of the things that we toss back and forth, and there's upsides and there's downsides. And so one of the things is, as we work with the high school, we needed to mirror their schedule, and one of their concerns at the high school was the AP testing. And secondly, one of the things to think about as well is that if we have a kid complete the course, any of our students, if we were to complete the courses in the first 18 weeks of the school year, that student is going to have a huge gap before they take that course again. They're going to have the whole second half of our school year and the summer, and not sure how the next year is going to work. Hopefully not, but if we're in the same type of situation, it could be where they're not taking it again for another 9 weeks after that. So in weighing that, we thought that it was best for them to have exposure over the whole course of the year to each of their subjects, as opposed to limiting it either to the first or the second semester and having those 9 weeks concurrent.
Thanks, Jeff. Next question. Why isn't the La Jolla cluster implementing outdoor learning to allow more students on campus in a safer, more comfortable environment? Our schools are perfect for reopening outside, and the foundation has funds that can be spent on table seating, shade structures, and such. Many schools operate outdoors and have so successfully. Our schools should as well. Okay. Can you respond to that?
I can, but I can assure you that's not a site-specific question. That's a district question, and we are not coming back on campus until the district deems it's safe to do so. And I know I was listening to PBS, the radio this morning on the way, and they were talking about the latest announcement from Governor Newsom and and the watch and taking off the watch. And it's been shared that we will follow the guidance of the panel of professionals that's been set up by the district, and we will also listen to, obviously we need to be off the watch list and be allowed to even consider opening back up, but our final decision that the superintendent will make will be based upon the recommendations and the guidelines that have been set forth by that panel. So that's not an option, regardless of us being able to fund outside teaching.
Okay, thank you. Next question for the asynchronous period. Will it be divided into 3 time periods for each of the classes? And also, will PE be included in the class assignments?
The asynchronous will not, that's just a block of time. So the way it's set now is that the kids will have the management of their time and their whatever extended work they have to manage it during that time. We are kind of just today we had an admin meeting and Nicole was there, and one of the things we're looking at too is maybe pushing in some of our social emotional learning curriculum during that time as well. But we need to figure out if we're going to be able to do that. But that's another chunk of time where maybe we can work with the teachers and say, instead of you assigning that extra 40 minutes, can we have your class, can you assign them to work with us in that asynchronous time? And that way we're not pulling kids out of their 74 minutes with their teacher and maybe doing some of those extracurricular type of those support type of services during that time. But I still need to look at contract and all that and make sure that that's something that we're able to do. And then the question about PE, PE is the same as all the other classes. It's gonna have they're gonna have 2 9-week sessions just like all the other classes, just like we always do. And we'll be able to, that'll enable us. Kind of one of the goals is we want to be able to transition back to campus smoothly. And whatever we're doing right now in the online process, we want to make that transition back in the same exact model, same schedule, same everything when we come back onto campus. And that was one of the things set forth by the district. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Do we need to re-register our kids again for the coming year?
We will have a registration process. If any of you have any kids at the high school, they have an online process, and Danielle has been working tirelessly on this to enable us to do that. So we're looking, we just had our admin meeting today, and that's something that we just talked about. So we will have a registration. That's not to say enrollment. I'm talking about registration. So what we're talking about is that manila packet of papers that you get at during the first week of school with the child's planner. All those papers, we're doing those online. If you're able to do those online. And we look to push that out tomorrow or the next day. And I will send out a link with that so that you guys can start working on registration. And we'll hopefully put a timeline, deadline on that rather. And hopefully get that information back from our community in a quick kind of turnaround.
Great, thank you. If by some miracle we're able to come back to a brick and mortar format, will this schedule continue? And if so, what will the asynchronous period look like?
So it will continue 100%. That was one of the goals of them putting together, as far as the model options that we had and the philosophy of the district on that. The asynchronous time, so what would happen at the asynchronous time is after their third period class, there'll be a lunch, a grab and go lunch time. So those students who wanted to pick up lunch here at school would be able to do so. But at that time, then that would be the end of our day. You kind of think of it kind of like a minimum day, and the kids would be off campus at that time. When we come back to campus, hopefully we can continue with some of the clubs and other extended options that we've had in the past. But the school day will be over as far as attendance for our children at the end of the third period after they. After the end of the third period, unless they choose to grab a lunch and pick up a lunch at one of our lunch lines.
Great. Will the students have students in all three classes? So when returning, less exposure. Also, what are the expected class sizes?
It's a great question. There are not a group of. So the kids will not have first period English with the same kids who are in this first period English class with this teacher that same group of kids will go to the next class and do the next class after that. No, that's not the way they are scheduled. The classes, what we've done is I didn't bring it. The classes, what we've done is we've been, so what happened is the teachers would usually teach 5 classes in a day and have 1 period prep, correct? So in this model, each teacher will actually be teaching 6 classes during the day. So what that's enabled us to do is lower the class size and for now, and when the kids come back on campus. So the target that we've had placed for us, our goal was to cap the classes at 30. And I believe that we're pretty good with that. The class size cap is still, contractually, is still 36-to-1. But we have we're working to keep that number at 30 or below. And with having the extra class that each teacher is teaching, we've been very successful at that. And I wish I would have. I had another one pulled up on my other computer to give you guys the numbers of kind of where we're at as far as for each of the classes. But I apologize, I don't have that right now.
Very good. Will the teachers be teaching from their classrooms during distance learning?
The teachers have an option to teach from their classrooms. They're not mandated to teach from the classroom. So we are being very, very careful with site access. Our teachers right now are not allowed on campus unless there's something, and the only people that are on campus are people that are essential to the running of our campus. So I can tell you right now we have our custodians are here and they're still working. And they've been here for a while. And I've been here by myself, but like today it's just me and Ms. Ichihara, because she's working on enrollment, and she's essentially needs to be here because she needs access to the CUME files and looking at that stuff. Outside of that, we don't have anybody else on campus. So our teachers are the same. I'm encouraged, you know, they have the option to come on campus once the school year starts, and I will support that, but there are strict guidelines around that where, example, the custodian will know who's coming in the next day. Only one teacher in a classroom at a time. The teachers, once they're in there, it's going to be their responsibility to shut everything down and close the door. They'll have to dump their own trash outside in the trash bin. Their only access will be to the restroom in their classroom, and staff lounge and copy room, and everything else is off limits. So that, you know, we're really focusing on trying to do our part, our due diligence, and to allow us to come back to campus, you know, and as soon as we possibly can.
Okay, very good. I've got one here. It says, how does the school schedule each individual student's rotation classes? Example, will math, science, language, PE classes be balanced in the 3-course 9-week cycle? And will the Q1 and the Q3 classes have the same teacher?
So the teacher schedule, I think I understand. So the schedule for a student would have been scheduled 6 periods. And so that teacher, the schedules are going to probably be relatively the same as they've always been. You know, the same, if a teacher was teaching 6th grade PE, they're still going to be teaching 6th grade PE. And I'm not sure if that answers your question correctly. The teacher's only going to have 3 periods each 9 weeks. So that other group of 3 classes, their period 3, 4, and 5 kids will just be the next 9 weeks, if that makes sense. So
I think I'm sorry. I think Jeff, what she was asking is, if you start with Miss Vote in Q1.
Yes. Oh, okay. Yes. Yes. It'll be the same. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. It'll be the same. Yes. It'll just be the second semester of that class, as if it was a typical school year. Yes. They will not switch teachers. Now, I take that back. The only ones who are going to switch teachers are our 6th graders who are in the wheel program. So they're going to have 4 teachers during the period that they have wheel over those 18 weeks. So they're going to have, it's going to be kind of neat, where they'll have exposure to each of the 4 wheel options for our 6th grade students, each of the 4 wheel options for a little over a month. So a little over 4 weeks, 4.5 weeks, they'll have during their first 9 weeks of the class, they'll have 2 of the wheel classes, and then over the last 9 weeks of that period, they'll have the other 2 wheel classes. So we'll split those 9 weeks of each quarter between two wheel options.
Okay. And is there going to be a homeroom class?
No.
No homeroom class. All right. Moving on. Mira says, I love PE, but how will they effectively manage to teach 74 minutes of PE? Seems like the time would be better suited for other subjects.
Again, so one of the thoughts is we're going to stay with the same schedule as we'll transition back to school. Our PE department has met and is working on curriculum, as well as the County Office of Education, which is adopting and pushing out curriculum, I believe, for our entire district, as far as modules that the students will be taking as part of their PE curriculum. The other thing is, again, as we talk about the social and emotional components, there's not one necessarily that is more social, emotional, supportive than the PE classes. In addition to that, speaking for my own, but we've gotten kind of away from being as active as we possibly should, and that of having the kids get up active and participate in some physical exercise and activities is also going to be beneficial for our kids as well. So our PE program is a vital part of our day here at Muirlands, and I support it 100%, and we'll continue with it just like we do any of our other classes.
Okay, speaking of PE, add on to that is there any way that students can receive credit for PE and not take the PE at Muirlands if a student is enrolled in athletics outside of school, and
No.
can have teachers sign up for them? No?
No.
Okay.
The district does not support that, and I don't support that either. That's not something supported at the district level. There's standards, there's curriculum for PE, just like any of the other classes.
Okay. Band, has anything been worked out for 7th and 8th graders as far
Thank you.
as?
Yeah. Yes, there has. So here's our plan for band is for the extended day, the 7th period, one of the things is that, again, so we're trying to keep the students, one of the goals, and our staff to 3 classes a day. So the band outside of the school day, extended will not happen. So what we're in the process of doing right now is we are contacting those students who have signed up for the 7th period, the extended day, the band class, and those students who are in the band class during the extended day already have an elective during the regular 6th period day. So the option that is going to be given to those students in the 7th period band is if they want to choose to go into band during the school day and join with the 6th grade band as an option if they are really driven to continue music at Muirlands, that's an option for them. But the caveat of that is that they would then need to, that would then take place of their elective that they have, that they would have had, that they are currently scheduled during the school day. But we are making that available, and that's going to be a choice that parents and students need to make. So those phone calls should be going out in the next, probably tomorrow. Right, Nicole? So Nicole will be contacting those parents. We discussed that today at admin as well.
Very good. With the new 3-period day next year, how are accelerated math students going to be able to complete 1.5 years of math in 18 weeks?
Again, so I'm not trying to say that meeting with a kid for 36 weeks every day is the same as meeting with a kid for 18 weeks. Again, that's an accelerated class. Those students in that class have to be prepared for the accelerated pace. As well as what I had mentioned earlier about the fact that those extra 40 minutes that are in the asynchronous time are going to be vital, that those are going to be used by those students, and then probably some. So when you talked about possibly those kids that are in the accelerated math classes, those, that could be, I would envision that might be a class where there's some work to do outside of the regular, 3:14 stop time for our kids, because of the nature of the class. It's accelerated. The curriculum is given at an accelerated pace. They're covering more curriculum during that same time. Our teachers are working hard right now to just pick the most critical, the most vital, the most essential curriculum as they're preparing their lessons, to roll out for this school year, because of the change of meeting times that we have, and the kids are going to be expected to have the same amount of minutes daily to classwork, but the flip side of that is that they're not going to have the same amount of minutes with the teacher. So they are having to really look at and reflect on their time that they're going to have with the kids each day as far as minutes, and as I said, really pick out those essential and critical components.
Great, thank you. With regard to 6th grade seminar, questions were raised at the last cluster meeting considering the high numbers of 6th graders this year who want seminar. Will we have 2 classes with the same seminar teacher and curriculum, or is there another plan in place?
Currently, we have 2 sections of seminar. All of our seminar identified kids will be enrolled in those 2 classes with the same teacher. Same teacher teaching both sections.
Very good. Next question. The question is coming from the community members. Still unclear about how they resolve the issue with signing up. I think you'd already addressed that. It said that there's students who were choice students who were able to already sign up while the 3 elementary schools were told to wait. If you would be able to elaborate on that.
Is that regarding seminar? Is that the question surrounding seminar?
Incoming 6th graders. It says choice students were supposedly able to sign up while the current 3 elementary schools were told to wait.
That's okay. So I'm gonna let me go. I don't think that that's accurate, but let me tell you what I do know is that right now we have a GATE seminar committee on our campus, and I've also been in touch with the cluster, and our cluster is also developing a GATE seminar committee to meet, and which we'll be a part of. So I think we're 100% good for this year. We have all of our kids enrolled in seminar, our incoming sixth graders in seminar. We're offering 2 sections, same teacher. But what we will be doing is we will have some conversations around our practices and have some discussions around the way our seminar program runs at Muirlands Middle School. So that's something that we're going to, hopefully do this year during our cluster meetings. But there's not an issue with anybody signing up earlier and not getting in seminar. We're everybody's in seminar.
Okay, great. Quick question: if the asynchronous period is not part of the school day, are kids not staying in the school to complete the asynchronous period? Are they supposed to go home?
Yes,
It
is part. It is within. It's part of our schedule. It's within the 360 minutes. But they will not complete those minutes on campus. Correct.
Great. Okay. Are we gaining or losing any teachers this year?
Nothing new than outside of what had happened last year. At the end of the year when we have our projected enrollment and those teachers that were excess because of our enrollment numbers. We do have some new teachers on campus, but it's not. They're just filling spots. So we do have. And I hope I don't forget anybody. We do have 2 new language teachers. We'll have a new band teacher. We have one of our teachers, a new teacher that's going to teach the Gateway to Technology and 2 of the wheel computer type of courses. That's another teacher, Dr. Scott. I think that's it. I hope I'm not forgetting anybody. I think that's it as far as new people on campus. We did have some people that just due to seniority are no longer with us, unfortunately. Miss Marsala, Mr. Lawrence, our 2 language teachers because of seniority issues. I think that's it. Oh, and Mr. Harchie. I'm sorry, Mr. Harchie, one of our math teachers, and he taught GTT as well.
Okay, thanks. With this schedule, will the kids cover the same amount of subject material as they would during a regular school year?
One more time, Kurt. I'm sorry.
Okay, it says with this schedule, will the kids cover the same amount of subject material as they would have during a regular school year?
Well, I think I kind of answered that before. There is essential curriculum, and maybe some of the items that a teacher some of, favorite projects or assignments or something like that they may have done in the past, that's not something necessarily essential. We're going to have to take a close look at our minutes and our time with our kids to determine what are the most essential elements. So you can look at it one of 2 ways. Theoretically, we're having this, the same amount of minutes with our kids, or relatively this, close to the same amount of minutes with our kids throughout the course of the year. But it's in a different format. There's not going to be a teacher at this point, walking around the room and helping move kids along. So it's going to be different, but so I don't really have 100% answer for that. But the expectation is they'll cover the essential standards that need to be covered for that class.
Okay. Will the 7th graders have an opportunity to test into accelerated math?
Jenny, are you still here?
I am.
So Jenny's she oversees the math department, which I haven't overseen in the past. So
7. Is that understood?
Correct.
Okay, so I have made contact with Emily Newman during her vacation. I know Miss Fote is actually flying back into town today, and I'm going to make contact with them in regards to getting some of their input as to how we can best navigate this, as because typically there is a readiness assessment that's given, and obviously we cannot give it at this time. So we're going to have to go with the data that we had, and their brick and mortar and online experiences will definitely take a look at future 7th graders for potential possible placement, and skipping an entire semester and jumping into basically the second half of 7th grade math and all of 8th grade.
Very good. Thank you.
So can I just kind of jump in too, because I think the 6th grade question is probably going to come up at some time as well. You know, typically we've had an assessment that all of our feeder school, all the schools in the district would take an assessment at the during their 5th grade year, and it's towards the end of the 5th grade year. And unfortunately, you know, obviously due to the circumstances, we were not able to do that. So as far as placement for our incoming 6th graders, we're in the same kind of the same boat for that, and in that we're looking at their most recent SBAC scores, looking at their marks from their 5th grade years as around mathematics, and possible teacher recommendations as well, as we looked at placement for our incoming 6th graders.
Thank you. Real quick, the asynchronous time period, is that a study hall, and will there be office, is that considered office hours? Will there be a teacher that they can go to for help during that time?
Nope. That's the whole kind of definition behind asynchronous. They're not with it's solo. It's without having a teacher with them. Again, that's not to say that if there was a question to email the teacher or you know, that's not to say that will never happen, but that is not designated time where the teachers are scheduled to work with the kids. During the course of their class, they'll have 74 minutes, and approximately 3/4 of those minutes are to be devoted to live whole group, maybe small group instruction, with the last 19 minutes of, or not necessarily the last, but approximately 25% of the class devoted to small group time, where the teacher would work with the kids, still be there with the students, small group time, and or conferring with the kids one-on-one, or teacher, you know, maybe the teacher would like to see a student after that first part of the class, and or sometime during the class, and kind of work with the student individually. And that would go the same for our classes that have resource teachers in there as well, supporting our students with IEPs.
Very good. Angie, Megan DeMott has her hand up. I don't know if her question was already addressed, but if you could unmute her. And Megan, if you have your question, that would be great.
Hi, sorry, I actually already had my questions answered in the comments. Thank you.
Okay, you bet. Let's see, we've got another one here. Can find it. Okay. I know the library is closed, but is anyone looking at possible access for students who need books during the school year? Not just one-time access.
Yes, is a short answer. We're looking into that. I don't know if we're going to be able to do that. What I have done is reached out to our English department and asked them, and our librarian, and asked them to coordinate if there are novels that they will read this year, to have those on the checkout. Again, the goal is to limit the access and exposure on campus. However, I do know public libraries are doing just that, where a student, you know, can go online and put in a request, and then the parent, or they are notified when the books are ready, and you know, we do this in our family, and we go by the library, and once you're there, you call, and they will put the books out on a table outside, and you go by and pick up your bag of books, you know, with your name on it. So I don't know if we'll be able to do something like that. I would like to have that availability, but if we're not able to do it here, that is something that I know the public libraries are currently doing.
Yeah, very good. So this next question, can you speak to why this type of schedule was preferred for transition to in-person over having 50% of the kids on campus for a full day every other day? Wouldn't it have been easier to accommodate social distancing with only 50% of the kids on campus? Class sizes of 30, while smaller than 36, do not seem very small.
The on-campus is not an option in our district.
Okay.
I mean, that's where we're at. We're not allowed anybody on campus. It's not an option.
Okay, very good. So foundation members, please ask questions now.
Kurt,
Yes.
Brooke would like to speak.
Yes, Brooke.
Hi, thank you.
Hi,
So I typed in that question, so I just wanted to follow up on it. So in your email and what we've been talking about, I thought, maybe I misunderstood this, was that the schedule, as it's been set up, would allow for a seamless transition to on-campus learning when we are able to return. So my question was referring to that. So if there is, not obviously we are clearly starting online, I understand that, but so if we are to return on campus, are we assuming that, you know, social distancing won't be required? Is that what you're saying? Or the situation will be so remedied that we won't have to deal with all of that? I think you referred to small, classes, class size in your email, and then on the call you referred to that meaning 30, which is smaller than the 36, which it normally would be. So if we're able to transition to in person, those class sizes would still be at 30, right? Wouldn't that be the understanding, or no?
That is our goal. Soft cap, I guess we could call it. Many of the classes will not be that large, just because we've added, you know, each teacher has an extra class. So hopefully they're significantly smaller. I wish I had those numbers to share with you right now, but I don't. And here's, you know, and all those decisions are going to come from our superintendent. And I can tell you what has been shared with me so far is that when we do begin the process to come back onto campuses, once those guidelines that have been established by our district allow us to start doing that, it's not going to be a flip of the switch and our gates are open and we're transitioning to 100% on-campus education. From what I've been told, it's going to be a gradual process once we do open that. And I believe it's going to be, at first, it's going to allow the smallest children, you know, probably back onto campuses, and those students with special needs who are getting additional services that are very, you know, that could be very difficult to provide in an online format, like physical therapy, occupational therapy, those type of services. You know, some of our more fragile students who would, the service would be much more appropriate to deliver in person. So when we get to that point where our campuses, our gates are open 100%, we need to be, unless things change and we start moving to outdoors or whatever the solution, the other solution is, they need to be at a point where we can have 30-1. So, or something else is going to have to change. So, did that answer, Brooke, what your question? Okay, thank you.
Very good. One last question here. Since the asynchronous period has no teachers involved, it's basically on your own self-study, are you considering any after-school tutoring by teachers as in the past years?
Yes. Yes. Yes, that's our plan. We got to see how we're going to have that work, but yes, we'll see that. So contractually, what it's probably going to be is it would be availability after the 3:15 time or what have you. Again, that would be similar to what we would do when we came back onto campus. So I want to keep as much normalcy, as much us doing this, you know, having that transition back to campus be as smooth as possible. So that'd be something we have money earmarked to do that, and that is something that I would like to continue.
Okay, great, thanks.
Your guys' input is great, though. You know, if you have an idea of a model, I mean, we're thinking of doing the same thing we've kind of done in the past, but if you have any input, ideas of teacher support outside of the school day, after 3:15, please email me, because we're still looking on ideas on how to do that.
Very good. We have about 9 minutes left, folks. So if you've had people ask you to submit some questions on their behalf, or if you have additional questions that weren't addressed so far, would you please go ahead and type those in, or let Angie know that you'd like to speak? Not seeing anything new pop up, Jeff.
Can I selfishly ask Nicole? Nicole, do you want to say anything about our upcoming social emotional learning program that we're doing? You don't have to. I'm kind of putting her totally on the spot, but if you wanted to spend just a minute or two, just kind of what we have in mind, or some of the ideas that we have as far as supporting our kids this year.
Yeah, so fortunately and unfortunately, these events in our world have emphasized how important the social emotional learning is. And so it's exciting because everybody is interested in this now. As counselors, we've been trying to get into the classrooms forever. So we have a wonderful program called Project Wisdom, and it has different lesson plans for the teachers to roll out, and it has weekly journals, and it has daily quotes, and we've been using that program for the last couple of years. I would like to set up, we're in the process of figuring out how to make this fluid and work. Mr. Luna was talking about the asynchronous time after lunch. That would be ideal to be able to work with students live interacting. We can also put together some video clips. We have a lot of training coming up as well on the social justice and race and all of those issues that are so important right now to discuss and keep the conversation going. So there's a lot of material we can roll out into our school, because we know when the kids feel comfortable and they have a connection and a relationship with someone, that's when they learn. And so we want to make sure that we're reducing their anxiety and getting them the resources they need, and knowing that we're here for them. And so we want to be very visible throughout their week in their classes, and let the students know that we're here for them. And we have an amazing website. If you want to check us out through the Muirlands website.
Please do that, everybody. If you haven't looked at our counseling website, they've spent a tremendous amount of time, and we have a ton of resources for you on that website. It's something that our counselors have been working very hard on. So
there's a calming room in there.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. There's a lot of things that you can implement. I mean, at home, and to support your work, your partnership at home. So please take advantage of that. A lot of work went into that, and it should be very beneficial for you. And then thank you, Nicole. And then another thing that wasn't asked, but and there's probably some questions around, is our first week when we open up the school year and what that's going to look like. And I shared a little bit about that in the letter, but basically there's going to be training, not only for our staff, but for students and parents as well. There's still going to be an opportunity for our kids to check in with their teachers each day, and then go off and the district is putting together some training, some online curriculum training, social, around some of the issues, how to navigate computers and software and learning management systems, and some social emotional units as well. So that's what our first week is going to look like, kind of gearing up our staff and gearing up our students and our teachers to hopefully allow us to be as successful as we possibly can with this online portion of our year.
Perfect. Jeff, would you, so this is all recorded, it's all going to be published. There are going to be questions that we didn't ask you that some parents are still going to want to ask. are you willing to give your email for school for those questions, or how best do you want us to handle that?
Yeah, I'm always. So J Luna, letter J Luna at sandy.net is my email. I'm more often than not here at school. Right now I'm here at school quite a bit, and I'm also want to set up a kind of a coffee talk kind of thing, so we can start doing something like this, maybe once a week or once every other, maybe once a week right now, and then kind of maybe tone it down a little bit once we kind of get in the groove of things. So I'll send out in my information to the community. I'll send out those dates and times once I can look at my calendar and get those on the calendar. So we'll have a time certain date and time to meet and chat, and hopefully I can answer your guys' questions during that time.
Very good. Well, thank you. Thank you, all of our foundation members, for presenting the questions, and look for it on our Muirlands Foundation website, the school website, and our Instagram page.
Okay.
Have a great day, everyone.
Thanks, Kurt. Thanks, everybody.